Today's lesson is about evaluating expressions without radicals. It is Common Core Grade 8 Standard NS.2. So let's go over a couple of things. First of all, evaluating expressions. What does evaluate mean? Well, that means to find the value of, find the answer of our expression or equation. Now, whenever you're evaluating, be sure to use parentheses when substituting values in place of variables. It becomes very important so you know what order of operations to use. Now, a good way to solve 2x plus 3 where x equals 3, well, that means anywhere there's an x, put a 3. So you'll notice we put parentheses around the 3. Now, it is 2 times x, so it is also understood to be 2 times 3. Well, 2 times 3, that's 6, and 6 plus 3 is 9. So that's our answer. Now, a bad way to do this exact same problem would be, in place of x, I'm going to put a 3. So I've got 23 plus 3, and that is 26. Well, of course, that is completely wrong. Since we did not use the parentheses, we did not understand that it was 2 times 3, and we thought it was a 23. Don't make this mistake. Use parentheses whenever you substitute a value in. It helps you to understand you need to multiply and you do not see it just as one whole number, okay? So be very careful about that. Now, let's also talk about the PEMDAS, the Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally. That just simply tells us the order in which we are to do things. And in the order, we start with the innermost parentheses. That's what we do first. Then we do exponents, then multiply and divide from left to right in the equation. Then you add and subtract from left to right in the equation. So the order starts over inside every set of parentheses. So parentheses around something means you have got to completely simplify everything in that parentheses before you move on to those next steps. Okay, so please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or PEMDAS, either one that you can remember, you got to remember the order of operations. So now we're ready to do an example. For example 1, if x is -1, what does 4 times the quantity 2x plus 1 equal? Well, we want to substitute the value of -1 in place of x on that expression. Remember, use parentheses around the -1. If we do that, we're going to get 4 times 2 times -1 plus 1. Now remember, on parentheses, we start on the inside, work our way out. So we do 2 times -1 first, and that's going to give me -2, but I've still got another operation inside the parentheses. So -2 plus 1 will give me -1. Now we can multiply, and 4 times -1 is -4. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, you can never forget those rules. Parentheses always come first, and you completely simplify everything in the parentheses before you start doing any multiplying, adding, subtracting, dividing. So the answer to this one is -4. For example 2, we're going to evaluate the expression for w equals 7 for 2w squared minus the quantity 4w minus 25 cubed plus 3. So we've got lots of order of operations going on this problem. So we've got to substitute first. If we substitute 7 for everywhere there's a w, we're going to get 2 times 7 squared minus the quantity of 4 times 7 minus 25 cubed plus 3. Notice, anywhere I substituted in a 7 for w, I use parentheses. Now, we've got to start at the innermost parentheses. So what does that mean? Well, that's the 4 times the 7. And 4 times 7 is going to give me 28. But we still got to simplify a little bit more because we're still inside of parentheses. And 28 minus 25 is 3. So notice I'm bringing everything down and only doing one step at a time. Well, now that I've done all the parentheses, well, what comes next? Please excuse exponents. So we've got to do all the exponents. So 7 squared and 3 cubed. Well, 7 squared is 49 and 3 cubed is 27. Now what do we do? Well, now we multiply and divide from left to right, which means 2 times 49 is 98. Bring everything else down. And now we add and subtract from left to right. So if you do 98 minus 27 plus 3, we will get 74. So one common mistake is 3 cubed does not equal 9. Okay? 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. So you've got to follow that order of operations and be very careful to get the right answer. For the following example, use the conversion formula to find the Fahrenheit temperature for 25 degrees Celsius. And that conversion formula is F equals 9/5 C plus 32. Now, how do I do a problem like this? Well, in place of the Celsius, we're going to put 25. So notice I put parentheses around it. Now it's just a matter of following the order of operations. So on this one, there's no real parentheses. We just have that 9/5 times 25. Well, the times 9/5 really means we're dividing by 5 and multiplying by 9. So I'm going to divide by 5 first. So 25 divided by 5 is 5. Well, now we multiply, and 9 times 5 is 45. Now we can add and subtract. So 45 plus 32 is 77. So the Fahrenheit temperature is 77 degrees when the Celsius temperature is 25 degrees. So that's how you've got to do it, and you've got to follow that order of operations. For our final example, we're going to do a word problem. So a rental agency uses the following formula to determine rent prices for their apartments. Find the rent on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. And the formula is R equals 300 plus 120B plus 40H, where R is rent, B is the number of bedrooms, and H is the number of baths. So we have 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. So where do we plug our numbers in? Well, in place of B, we're going to put 3. In place of H, we're going to put 2. So use parentheses, and we get R equals 300 plus 100 times 3 plus 40 times 2. So now order of operations tells us to multiply first. So 3 times 100 is 300, and 2 times 40 is 80. Notice I just bring down the 300 because there's nothing multiplied or divided with the 300. Now we can add all of these numbers. So 300 plus 80 is a total of $680 would be the rent for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. So following the order of operations, remembering that please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or PEMDAS really helps out to solve a multitude of problems in algebra and beyond.